Hello everyone and welcome back. So this is a refrigerated wine cellar. I did post one video of it, but not the install. And I'm going to show you how to outline everything and get started. There's supposed to be a glass door, but unfortunately it's not in. So this is the veneer brick install. They come in sheets. Mind you, you can paint these bricks at the end when everything's completed, but they're going for the natural look. So I'm going to get a tape measure, and I'm going to measure from one side of the wall all the way to the other, and that'll give me my length, and then divide that by 2 to get my center. So it's 138 or 139. Divide that by 2. And that'll be my calculation, 69.5 or 69.75. Just grab your level, or if you have a laser line, please do that as well. Now this is the material. It's called Rediscover Brick. They come in sheets. So what I do is before I start laying everything, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to have equal size on each side of the wall. So that first sheet, we're going to put it right where that center line is. And we're just going to check with our tape to make sure that we're not going to be off on one side of the wall. Mind you, you're going to take a measurement from the inside pocket and the outer of the brick. One side will be 19.25, the other will be 15.5. And you're going to want to make sure those same measurements are going to be on that side. I wouldn't go too crazy because these bricks, they are different size joints. But because I work for myself and I'm very anal about a lot of things that I do, and these are my clients, so I want to try and make it as beautiful as I possibly can for them, okay? So you're going to transfer those marks right there. Remember, the inside of the brick and the outside of the brick, okay? 2 different measurements, guys, okay? Now, this is one way you can do it. Just make a straight cut all the way along that for the end pieces, but I'll do it a little bit different because I'll have some scraps, and I'll use the scraps because I'm a firm believer of not wasting material. And we're going to see if it's the same mark. Mind you, remember, you can spread those joints a little bit more, all right? It's supposed to look like Chicago brick, so it's okay to spread the gaps. As you can see, there's a variation of big and small gaps on these bricks. Okay, so that'll be the same as the other side. Now, that's one way you can do it. And then I'll show you another way. Just make sure that you're all set up properly, okay? So that center mark, there'll be, should probably be about a 1/2 inch to no more than a 1/2 inch, like 5/8 gap between that center line. So you're going to spread it just a little bit more, okay? And that mark, I want it to be true on that side. And it will be true and it won't be, but you'll see what I'm talking about later on. Just grab your level and mark that. Now, mind you guys, I'm just doing the long version for you. What I usually do is the center and a cross line. But I did it this way just to give you a little bit of a better idea. And you're going to do the other side the same way. Okay, well, we got through that. So there's your center, and that brick will meet that side. Make sure that everything's going to be. See how there's a little bit of a gap between that center? Because that's going to be my joint. on the center there. But I want you to hit that line with the other side of the brick. Okay, we'll test this side as well, just to make sure. Okay, there we go. Just make sure that you hit that line on the right side. So it's going to be tooth, so it's going to change a little bit on you. Okay, there you go, okay? Just like that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see, I want my joint for the next row of brick for the second course. So usually the joints, the cross joints or the horizontal joints are pretty thin joints, not like the vertical joints. So usually my standard is 19 3/4 or 20 inches. So I'm going to start with a full on the wall. And I'm going to mark that line will be my true first course. So that'd be 19 and a half. You're going to want to leave, depending on your ceiling, if you have bows in it, just a little bit of a gap. Maybe you're looking at maybe a 1/4 inch, because you can always fill that in with cement later on. So that'll be my first mark, okay? So I'm going to mark 19 3/4. That'll give me my second course from that line. You see how I have two lines? You're going to hit the bottom of that secondary line on the bottom. Okay, so don't put it on that line, because that'll be your first course for your the starter. So you're going to hit, like I said, that secondary line. Just drop it a little bit, and that'll give you your joint. So go from that line, 19 3/4, to the next course, 13 3/4. Okay? That wasn't so bad. So what I do is I usually cut on one side of that, the mesh. Just turn it around and cut the back side of that mesh on one side. It does get a little bit in the way, so. Okay. This is my Dietrich trowel. You don't want a thick teeth, because remember these bricks, they're very thin. So I'm going to use a modified cement, which I'm using LHT, or any tile cement will be fine, as long as it's modified, not unmodified. And just make sure you hit those lines. And what I usually do is that first course, I'm not going to fill in the two end gaps, all right? I just put my level just to make sure I'm on that line. Because remember, your first course is very important. If you have a laser line, by all means, use the laser line. They're not going to be true on the sheets once in a while, guys. So sometimes I just get my knife and I cut the mesh when it's laid, and then I just adjust it. Mind you, it's supposed to look imperfected, but like I said, I work for myself and I have a little bit of OCD. Okay. You see how that almost hits, and some don't, but don't be discouraged. As long as you get one of those bricks to hit that line, you're going to be fine. As well as that bottom line as well. There we go. And this is my cement, guys. Make it like a pancake batter. Remember, don't use an unmodified cement. Use modified. Okay. You could take that mesh off, like I said, so. And you see how I'm hitting that secondary line on the bottom? That'll be your second course. And sometimes what I do is I put my level on all the joints, just because I like to make it a little more prettier. Mind you, when you spread the cement, you notice how I just do one sheet at a time because it does dry up pretty quick, especially with clay tiles like this, like clay bricks. So that's why I don't muck the whole wall right away. And sometimes I'll grab my sponge and just wash the wall a little bit because this is not going to be painted, remember that. And they're going to level that floor, so and they're going to put the laminate, and I'll come back later on and I'll fill the bottom gap. But in the meantime, I'm concentrating on the big area, and I'll concentrate on those two side walls. Okay, so I'm going to put this one sheet here. This is my second way of doing it to help you out because remember, I don't like the waste. So I do it this way, or you could put the cut piece however way you want. If sometimes you'll have some scraps, so this is a scrap piece and this is another way that I do it. So I'm going to grab that brick and I'm just going to put it right there and leave an allowance for a joint. Usually a half inch, depending on how you feel. And I can still use that same brick and reverse it and just cut that as well. Now you can they are a little bit fragile, so just grab a sheet of plywood or a little piece of wood and cut it with a grinder. But in this case, I use my wet saw, my little mini wet saw. There's one and there's two. Now, you don't have to back butter these bricks, by the way. It's kind of impossible to do that. But what I usually do is I get a wet sponge and I just, when I lay the sheets, I wet it a little bit. You can use your eyeballs just to make it a little bit more level, or you can use the level. So I'm not going to use that same brick. I'm going to put it in a different area just because of variation. Yeah, I don't want the same color to be exactly there, close by each other. This does take a little bit more time, guys, but it depends on how you feel. If you feel comfortable doing it the other way, just cut sheet, or you can just use your scraps. And all you do is you just continue all the way down. I usually wait for the other side because it's a bulkhead. So I'll have some scrap pieces and I'll do the same thing up top. And just go to the other side and do the same thing, okay? I'm hoping you come back and I'll show you how to use a piping bag. There's two ways that I do it. I use either cement or actually I use tile cement as well. Thank you guys. Please subscribe and like and come back. Cheers.